to my live teaching learning session of Principles of Macroeconomics 2 BECC 134. We have started the topic of ISLM curve. In last classes, you have studied about what is IS curve, what is LM curve, how we can derive IS and LM curve. IS is investment and saving curve which shows goods market equilibrium, and LM shows money market equilibrium. LM represent money demand and money supply. That's why it is related with money market equilibrium. We have discussed about in last session how IS and LM curve derive and how these two markets simultaneously determine the rate of interest and the level of income. Goods market and IS curve, which is related with goods market, this curve slope is always downward from left to right, and LM curve is always upward sloping. That's why where both curve IS and LM curve intersect each other, here the rate of interest is determined on that point. In last session, we could not complete some topics due to technical issue. That's why we are continuing from those topics which we left in last class. So today we will discuss about the remaining topics of ISLM curve analysis. How aggregate demand curve can be derived with the help of ISLM curve analysis. In today's class, we will discuss about how aggregate demand curve can shift due to fiscal policy and monetary policy. What is crowding out effect? And what is the nature of aggregate supply curve? And what are the three ranges of aggregate supply curve? And what impact of fiscal policy and monetary policy in on these three ranges? And in last, we will conclude all these topics. So let us start from first topic, derivation of aggregate demand curve with the help of ISLM analysis. Aggregate demand. First of all, you must have to know about what is aggregate demand. Aggregate demand is the sum total of all country people demand, and aggregate demand is the total demand of whole country people which is demanded by all citizens of the country at the given prices and at the given time period. Aggregate demand, we will demand generally for two purposes. One is consumption purpose and other is investment purpose. So there are mainly two components of aggregate demand. One is C and other is I. In a two-sector economy, we take only two components, C and I. But in three-sector economy, we take three components of aggregate demand like consumption demand, second is investment demand, and third is government demand. So in three-sector model, we include C plus I plus G in aggregate demand. But as you know that at present, four-sector economy exists. In a four-sector economy, we have relationship with rest of the world. At present, all the economies are open economies which have relationship with rest of the world. We always do imports and exports with other nations. So at present, aggregate demand has four components in which we include C plus I plus G plus net export. Net export is the difference between exports and imports. Exports means to sell goods and services to abroad, and import means to buy goods and services from abroad. So aggregate demand is the summation of four components like C plus I plus G plus X minus M, or we can write net export. In the ISLM model, the price level helps to determine real money demand. Increase in the price level decreases real money balances and increase money demand, shifting the money demand curve to the right and LM curve to the left. On the other hand, decrease in the price level increases real money balances and decrease the money demand, shifting money demand to the left and LM curve shifts to the right. We use this relationship when we derive aggregate demand with the help of ISLM curve analysis. This is the derivation of aggregate demand curve. Aggregate demand curve is always downward sloping curve which shows negative relationship between aggregate demand and price. Generally, you know that demand and price always inversely related with each other. Due to rise in price, demand falls, and due to fall in price, demand always rise. While we derive aggregate demand curve with the help of ISLM curve analysis, first of all, we will draw ISLM curve. IS curve is always downward sloping curve from left to right, and this LM curve is always upward sloping curve. Where both curves intersect each other, first equilibrium point, which is E, is determined on that point. Here E is the equilibrium point where ISLM curve intersect. The level of income is determined OY and the rate of interest is determined R0. When money supply increases, then LM curve will shift to the rightward. And due to fall in money supply, LM curve shifts to the left hand side. In this case, we will shift only LM curve, not IS curve. Why? Because LM curve shows inverse relationship between rate of interest and the level of income. When LM curve shifts to the right, the new equilibrium point will be E1. At this equilibrium point, rate of interest will fall and the level of income will rise. And if LM curve shifts to the left hand side or money supply decreases, then new equilibrium point will be E2. At this equilibrium point, rate of interest will rise from OR0 to OR2 and level of income will fall from OY0 to OY2. As you are watching here, that LM curve, the shift in LM curve is showing the inverse relationship between rate of interest and the level of income. And as you know that demand and price also inversely related with price and quantity demanded. That's why when we derive aggregate demand curve with the help of ISLM curve analysis, then we will shift only LM curve, not IS curve. So here we get three equilibrium points. One is E, other is E1 due to shift in rightward LM curve, and E2 when LM shifts left hand side. So these 3 points we get. And if we draw another curve simultaneously and take these 3 equilibrium points and the level of income on the other diagram, then we can derive aggregate demand curve. On the other diagram, we have written price on y-axis and income on x-axis. When price rises, quantity demanded or income will fall. When price falls, demand rises, and due to further fall in price level, demand will further rise. So here the inverse relationship between price and the level of income or quantity demanded is showing, and if we join these 3 points like A, B and C, then we can get aggregate demand curve. This aggregate demand curve slopes always downward, which shows inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded or price and level of income. So this is the derivation of aggregate demand curve with the help of ISLM curve analysis. We can derive aggregate demand curve in this form also. Here we have taken first diagram on right. On x-axis we have written income and on y-axis we have taken interest rate. First of all, IS curve we will draw, downward sloping curve, and LM curve is upward sloping curve where both curve intersect each other. Equilibrium point is determined. At this equilibrium point, rate of interest will determine and level of income will also determine. If money supply falls, then LM curve will shift to the left hand side. And due to fall in money supply, rate of interest will rise and the level of income will fall. And if we join these two equilibrium points to another curve and take these two equilibrium level of income on the other curve, then we can derive aggregate demand curve. On the next curve, we have written on y-axis price level and on x-axis income. At higher price, demand will fall. Due to fall in demand, production will fall, employment will fall, and further income will fall. And due to fall in price, demand will rise. Due to rise in demand, production will rise because producer will motivate to produce more goods and services because demand is higher. When producer produce more goods and services, then producer will invest more money in their business enterprises. Due to increase in investment level, employment level will also increase in the economy. And due to rise in employment level, income level will rise. So income is related with demand. That's why we can show this relationship between price and level of income inversely, and we can draw aggregate demand curve which is always downward sloping curve. This is the derivation of aggregate demand curve with the ISLM model. Next is aggregate demand curve can shift also. You know that every and each diagram can't remain stable, can be shift either to the right hand side or left hand side. That's why aggregate demand also can shift either to the right hand side or left hand side. IS curve can shift, LM curve can shift. The reason behind the shift in IS curve is fiscal policy, and the reason behind the shift in LM curve is monetary policy. And both these policies are very important policies. Fiscal policy is that policy which is made by the government, and monetary policy is that policy which is made by the Reserve Bank of India. Both the policies can manage the situation of the economy and can stabilize the economy and can achieve the all economic goals which is necessary for the development of the country. So fiscal policy and monetary policy play very important role in each and every economy because these policies can affect our economy and can overcome the situation of deflation and inflation. We can overcome from these two extreme situations which exist in our economy. So fiscal policy and the aggregate demand. God. Fiscal policy is that policy which is made by government, and the main tools of fiscal policies are public revenue, second is public expenditure, third is public debt, and fourth is budget. There are four main tools of fiscal policy. Government can follow maybe expansionary policy or maybe contractionary policy. Expansionary fiscal policy is that policy in which government increases their spending and decreases the taxation rate. If government increases the expenditure and decreases the taxation, then IS curve will shift to the right hand side. Here, first of all, we draw IS curve, which is IS1, and LM curve, which is upward sloping curve, where both curve intersect each other. The goods market and money market both are simultaneously in equilibrium. At this equilibrium point, rate of interest will be determined and the level of income will also be determined. Due to following the policy of expansionary fiscal policy, IS curve will shift to the right hand side. When IS curve shifts to the right hand side, this IS2 curve cut or intersects LM curve at another point. At this equilibrium point, rate of interest will be R2 and the equilibrium level of income will be Y2. If we join these two equilibrium points to another curve, then we can show the shift in aggregate demand curve with the help of ISLM curve analysis, and we can show the impact of expansionary fiscal policy on aggregate demand curve. As you know that demand always shifts due to change in other factors, not due to change in price. Because price can only move aggregate demand curve but not shift. Demand curve can shift and it can shift due to so many reasons. So many factors affects our demand like income of the consumer, taste and preferences, taxation policy of the government and expectations, future price expectations, size of population, distribution of income, and fiscal policy and monetary policy are very important factor which can shift our aggregate demand curve. So in this case, we take always constant price level. So first of all, we will draw these two equilibrium points to another curve and the income level will also be remain same y1 and y2, and here we'll draw price line which is always constant line or horizontal line, and on this AD1 is the initial demand curve, and due to expansionary fiscal policy, IS curve shifts to the right hand side. That's why if government expenditure rises and taxation falls, then consumer can spend more on goods and services and consumer demand will also increase. Because if government reduces taxes and increase expenditure, as you know that one person expenditure is another person income and government expenditure is an injection, it's an injection variable. That's why due to increase in expenditure country people income will rise, and due to rise in the income of the country people their capacity or purchasing power will rise, and due to rise in purchasing power their demand will also rise. That's why demand curve shifts to the right hand side. This is the main impact of fiscal policy. If government follows expansionary fiscal policy, then consumer demand will increase and demand curve will shift to the right hand side. And situation may be reverse if government follow contractionary fiscal policy in which government expenditure falls and taxation rises, it will reduce our consumption expenditure. That's why aggregate demand will fall and curve can shift to the left hand side. So here aggregate demand is shifting due to change in fiscal policy. That's why we have shift only IS curve, not LM curve. Because IS curve shifts due to change in fiscal policy, not monetary policy. IS is related with goods market. That's why IS shifts only due to change in fiscal policy. And LM shows money market equilibrium, and LM is related with money market. That's why LM will shift only due to change in monetary policy, not due to change in fiscal policy. So here, expansionary fiscal policy government has followed. That's why government expenditure increases and tax rate falls. That's why aggregate demand will increase, and this increase in aggregate demand we can show with the help of shifting AD curve to the right hand side. Next is aggregate demand curve shift. It can shift due to change in monetary policy also, not by the fiscal policy. It can shift due to monetary policy. Monetary policy also play very important role in our economy. Monetary policy is made by Reserve Bank of India. RBI can increase the supply of money, and RBI can decrease the supply of money. It depends upon money demand and the other circumstances. If in economy money demand increases, then RBI has to issue more paper currency. That's why money supply will increase, and money supply when increases, then LM curve will shift to the right hand side. And due to fall in money supply, LM curve can shift to the left hand side. First of all, we will draw IS curve, which is always downward sloping curve, and LM curve, which is always upward sloping curve, where both curve intersect each other. Equilibrium point will be determined. Here the first equilibrium point is E1. At this equilibrium point, rate of interest is higher and R2 and income level is Y1. And when money supply increases due to expansionary monetary policy, what is expansionary monetary policy? Expansionary monetary policy shows the increase in nominal money supply when there is no change in the price level, increases real money balances, and shifts the LM curve to the right. When money supply curve shifts to the right hand side, then this new LM curve intersects IS curve, initial IS curve at E2 point. At this E2 point, rate of interest will fall from R2 to R1 and level of income will rise. Next, we will draw another curve which will show the shift in aggregate demand curve, and we will take these two equilibrium points and level of income to the another curve. Same as in fiscal policy, we have taken price line constant or horizontal line because aggregate demand always shifts due to change in other factors, remaining price constant, and that's why we have taken price constant. And first aggregate demand curve is AD1. This is the initial aggregate demand curve. Next AD curve will shift to the right hand side because money supply increases. When money supply increases, then rate of interest will fall. Due to fall in rate of interest, investment will rise. When investment rises, production will rise. Due to rise in production, employment will rise. Due to rise in employment, income will rise. And due to rise in income, demand will rise. All these things are interrelated or interconnected. That's why when monetary policy is expansionary, then money supply will increase, and how it increases the income level of the consumer. In this, so many so many stages are included in it, and these stages we have discussed, like first of all, when money supply increases, rate of interest will fall, investors will encourage to invest more money in their business enterprises. They will take more loans from the banks because loan will become cheaper at the lower rate of interest. In this case, investment will rise. Investment rises, then production will rise. When production rises, employment will rise. Due to rise in employment, income will rise. People can earn more money and they can spend more on consumer goods. That's why consumption will rise, and demand will automatically increase. In this case, demand curve shifts to the right hand side. So aggregate demand can shift either to the change in fiscal policy or change in monetary policy. But aggregate demand shifts right hand side when government follows expansionary fiscal policy and RBI also follows expansionary monetary policy. If RBI follows contractionary monetary policy, then aggregate demand curve will shift to the left hand side. When government follow contractionary fiscal policy, then IS curve shifts to the left hand side and AD also shifts to the left hand side. So aggregate demand curve can derive also with the help of ISLM curve analysis, and ISLM curve can also help in shift in aggregate demand curve. So fiscal policy and monetary policy can shift aggregate demand either to the right hand side or left hand side. Next is derivation of AD curve if LM shifts due to change in other factors rather than price. If LM shifts right hand side due to expansionary monetary policy, and if LM shifts left hand side due to contractionary monetary policy, then we can derive also a aggregate demand curve and can also shift aggregate demand curve. In this case, first of all, ISLM curve we will draw, then initial point, equilibrium point is the rate of interest will determine where both curve intersect each other, and here three equilibrium points are E, E1 and E2. If we join these three equilibrium points or income level to the another curve and price remaining constant, price remains same, then first of all we will draw initial aggregate demand curve. Red line aggregate demand curve is the initial aggregate demand curve. Due to rise in money supply, aggregate demand curve will shift to the right hand side, and due to fall in money supply or contractionary monetary policy, aggregate demand shifts to the left hand side. So aggregate demand can shift either to the right hand side or left hand side due to change in monetary policy and due to change in fiscal policy. Next is crowding out effect. This crowding out effect is very important concept in ISLM curve analysis. What is the meaning of crowding out? Here we will discuss about the definition of crowding out. Graphically, we can illustrate it, we can draw, we can show crowding out with the help of a diagram. How we can show partial crowding out effect and how we can show full crowding out effect, both can be shown with the help of diagrams, and what factors affects the crowding out and conclusion. So first of all, we will discuss about what is crowding out. Crowding out is a situation when increased interest rate leads to a reduction in private investment spending such that it damps the initial increase of total investment spending is called crowding out effect. In simple words, we can say that crowding out occurs when government follows expansionary fiscal policy. When government follows fiscal policy expansionary, in this case, IS curve will shift to the right hand side. And as you know that when IS curve shifts to the right hand side, then rate of interest will rise and level of income will also rise. When rate of interest increases, then loan will become more expensive. Producers will discourage to invest. That's why private spending will fall. And due to fall in private spending, level of income will also fall. So crowding out means the deduction or reduction in private spending due to rise in interest rate when government follows expansionary fiscal policy. It means the income level which can increase multiply due to fall in interest rate. But here, income is not increasing by the multiplier effect. This minimum level of rise in income level is showing that due to rise in interest rate, private investment spending falls. That's why income will not increase by the multiplier effect, and it means here expansionary fiscal policy crowd out the investment level. That's why income also not increase by the multiplier effect. This is the crowding out. Crowding out effect generally occurs due to expansionary fiscal policy. As we have discussed that how government follows expansionary fiscal policy, in this policy, government can increase government expenditure and reduce the taxation rate. When government follows expansionary fiscal policy, in this case, IS curve will shift to the right hand side. At higher rate of interest, businesses will take out fewer loans and there will be a decrease in investment. At the same time, there will be a decrease in consumer spending also, as they will take out fewer loans as well. Because at higher rate of interest, loan will become more expensive. People will not take loans from the banks. When their borrowings will fall, their purchasing power or their capacity to spend will also fall. And due to fall in spending, income level will also fall. That's why this crowding out effect will reduce the gain made by the expansionary fiscal policy. In this case, where when G increases, G is government expenditure. Due to rise in government expenditure, taxation rate will fall. If government is following fiscal policy expansionary, then government expenditure will rise. Government expenditure rise, then investment of the government will fall, consumption will rise, and fall due to rise in uh, income level. In this case, GDP will increase but not increase by the multiplier effect. That is the situation of crowding out. Crowding out situation can be explained with the help of diagram. Here, first of all, we will draw IS curve. IS curve is always downward sloping curve and LM curve is always upward sloping curve. Where both curve intersect each other, equilibrium point is E1 determined. At this equilibrium point, rate of interest will be R1 and the level of income will be Y1. When IS curve shifts to the right hand side, because due to change in fiscal policy, or if government is following expansionary fiscal policy, this IS curve will shift to the rightward or right hand side. In this curve, when IS2 curve intersects LM1, the new equilibrium point will be E3. At this equilibrium point, rate of interest will rise from OR1 to OR2 and income level will also increase from OY1 to OY3. But if we take only the same level of rate of interest like R1, then we can get another equilibrium point, that is E2. At this equilibrium point, the level of income is Y2. If rate of interest remains constant, then income level can increase multiply due to expansionary fiscal policy. But here we are seeing that due to rise in interest rate, income level falls. So income level is not increases by the multiplier effect. Its reason is increase in interest rate. When interest rate increases, loan will become more expensive. It will fall private investment spending, and due to fall in private investment spending, income level will also not rise by the multiplier effect. This is the situation of crowding out effect. Income can increase from OY1 to OY2, but not increases from this ratio. Why? Its reason is because interest rate increases from OR1 to OR2. If interest rate increases, it will reduce private investment spending. That's why income will not increase by multiply. That's why this is the crowding out situation. This crowding out we can show with the help of this another diagram also. Here IS curve shifts is IS1 to IS2, and this is the change in delta G. Delta G is change in government expenditure. If government expenditure increases, then IS curve will shift to the right hand side. At this new IS curve, equilibrium point will be B. At this point, rate of interest will be R2 and the income level will be Y2. Income can increase from E point to K point, but not increasing due to rise in interest rate. It means expansionary fiscal policy crowd out the private investment spending. So this is the situation of crowding out. When government follows expansionary fiscal policy, it will impact of increase in government expenditure on interest rate and the level of income, but level of income will not increase multiply due to rise in interest rate. If rate of interest remains constant, then there will be no crowding out situation. Only income level will increase, and crowding out situation can be abolished, can be finished if rate of interest remains constant. But we know that if IS curve shifts to the right hand side, definitely rate of interest will rise and level of income will also rise. But rate of interest will fall the private investment spending due to expensive borrowings. That's why this situation, which will not increase multiply the level of income, is known as crowding out effect. Now, when crowding out effect situation is partial and when crowding out situation is fully. Here we are drawing LM curve horizontal line. Horizontal LM curve shows liquidity trap situation. This liquidity trap situation occurs when we demand for money for speculative purpose. As you have studied about in money demand chapter, money is demanded for each and every person for basically of three purposes. One is transaction purpose, other is precautionary purpose, and the third motive for holding money in cash form is speculative purpose. According to Keynes. Keynes said that people always demand for money for three purposes: transaction, precautionary, and speculative. And the speculative purpose is the main purpose for holding money in cash form because everybody wants to make multiple money in a very short time period, and they want to make multiple money. And how they can make multiple money? With the help of existing money, they can buy bonds, they can invest their money in bonds and shares also. And if interest rate is less, people will buy more bonds. And when bonds rate is lower, people will buy more bonds. And when bonds price become higher, people can sell it and can take advantages from buying and selling the bonds and can make multiple money. So this is the speculative purpose. But as you know that rate of interest when falls, money demand for speculation purpose rises. When rate of interest falls further, then money demand for speculation purpose will also rise. But you know that rate of interest can never fall beyond a certain limit or certain point. At that certain limit, money demand curve will become horizontal or parallel to the x-axis. That situation is known as liquidity trap situation. So in this case, when money demand curve is horizontal line or perfectly elastic curve, which is parallel to the x-axis curve, in this case, situation of liquidity trap exists. So if LM curve is horizontal, it means Rate of interest can never fall or never rise beyond that certain limit. In this case, first we will draw LM curve horizontal and IS curve downward sloping curve, where both curve intersect each other. Equilibrium point will be determined. Here E is the equilibrium point and the level of income is Y0. If government is following expansionary fiscal policy, then IS curve will shift to the right hand side. When this shifts IS curve, which is IS1, intersects LM curve, that is the equilibrium point E1, we will get new equilibrium point E1. But here rate of interest will not increase because LM curve is horizontal. Only income level will increase. It means there is no crowding out situation. So here no crowding out will occur, will exist if LM curve is horizontal. This is situation of liquidity trap also. So here crowding out, if any question we will ask from you that when crowding out situation will not occur, the simple answer of this question is when LM curve is horizontal or when the situation of liquidity trap is existing in the economy, then no crowding out situation will exist or not occur. Another curve is vertical LM curve. Here, if we are taking vertical LM curve which is parallel to the y-axis, in this situation, first of all, we have taken vertical LM curve and first IS curve which slope always downward, where both curve intersect each other. Equilibrium point will be determined E1. At this equilibrium point, rate of interest will be R1 and the level of income is Y1. When IS curve shifts to the right hand side due to same expansionary fiscal policy, if government is following expansionary fiscal policy, it means government is increasing their expenditures and reducing the taxation rate. IS curve shifts to the right hand side from IS1 to IS2 curve. This IS2 curve intersects LM curve at E2 point. At this equilibrium point, rate of interest will rise from OR1 to OR2, but level of income will not rise. If level of income remains constant or same, only rate of interest rises. This situation is called full crowding out situation. So full crowding out situation occurs when LM curve is vertical, and no crowding out situation will occur when LM curve is horizontal. So these are the two extreme situations of crowding out. In which situation crowding out occurs or in which situation crowding out not occur depends upon the shape of LM curve. If LM curve is horizontal or rate of interest is constant, then totally due to following expansionary policy, only the level of income will rise, rate of interest will not increase. But if LM curve is vertical, then due to following expansionary policy, only rate of interest will rise and all private spending will crowd out and the level of income will not increase. That's why if LM is vertical, full crowding out situation will exist. And this situation is also known as classical situation or classical case. Next is the nature of aggregate supply curve. How aggregate supply curve can show or represent the three ranges or three different stages. As you know that supply curve is always upward sloping curve which shows direct and positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. Aggregate supply is the total supply of all the goods and services produced by whole country's producers, produced at a particular time period and supplied at a particular time period at the given prices. Aggregate supply curve is upward sloping curve which shows direct and positive relationship between price and real GDP. In this diagram, aggregate supply has three ranges. These three ranges are known as first stage is Keynesian range, in which aggregate supply curve is horizontal or parallel to the x-axis. In the second stage, when aggregate supply curves start increasing, this situation is known as intermediate situation or range. And after that, in last stage, aggregate supply curve becomes vertical or constant. This situation is called classical range or classical case. So here, the nature of aggregate supply curve can be classified into three ranges. One is Keynesian range, second is intermediate range, and third is classical range. Horizontal range is always known as Keynesian range because Keynes presented liquidity trap situation, and Keynes said that money is demanded for three motives: transaction, precautionary, and speculative. In speculative demand for money, after reaching a certain point or certain level, rate of interest will become constant or parallel to the x-axis. That's why parallel to the x-axis or horizontal or perfectly elastic curve is called Keynesian range. And in between the Keynesian range and classical range is known as intermediate range, which lies in between of classical and Keynesian. So this range is also known as middle range or intermediate range. And after that, aggregate supply curve will become constant or vertical because Keynes presented their model, or Keynes introduced macroeconomics at that time when worldwide depression period was going on at the time of 1929. Then Keynes said that if aggregate supply remains constant, only aggregate demand increases, then we can solve the problem of depression. And this theory was fantastic because this theory or Keynesian theory solved the problem of depression of USA economy and UK economy, and this worldwide depression period was solved by the Keynesian principles and the Keynesian theory. That's why Keynes play very important role in macroeconomics, and we can say that Keynes is the father of macroeconomics. So here Keynesian range is horizontal line, and after that intermediate range will occur, and at last classical range we can show. So this is the nature of aggregate supply curve. Next is three ranges of aggregate supply. As you know that Keynesian range is always horizontal at low output. Second range is intermediate range, which is upward sloping range. And the third range is classical range, which is vertical at physical capacity. Here this blue or this line is showing is Keynesian range. After that, green is intermediate range, and red line is showing aggregate supply curve range is classical range. On x-axis, we have taken real domestic output or GDP or national income or level of income. You can write anything, which is the related concept of GDP. And on y-axis, we can take price level. So these are the three ranges of aggregate supply curve. Next is aggregate supply. First of all, we will draw these three ranges. We can present it these three ranges with the help of ISLM curve analysis. In this case, if we have taken first range, Keynesian range, after that intermediate range, and at last classical range, and write this three ranges name AS. Instead of AS, we have written LM curve. And if we are changing only IS curve, due to expansionary fiscal policy. As you know that only IS curve will shift, LM curve will not change. And if IS curve shifts, first of all we will draw two IS curve in each range. In classical range, two IS curve we will draw. In intermediate range, we will draw two IS curve. And in Keynesian range, we will draw two IS curve. So in Keynesian range, when we have draw two IS curve, IS1, IS2, two equilibrium point we will get. At these two equilibrium point income level, we will get Y1 and Y2. Here we are watching that income level is increasing by the multiplier effect, and income is increasing by the Moore ratio. At intermediate range, income is increasing but not by the same proportion of Keynesian range. And at the classical range, income is not increases, income is constant because LM curve is vertical or aggregate supply curve is vertical. At this point or at this stage, IS curve, if shifts, it will not affect to income level. So it means we can say that if fiscal policy, government is following expansionary fiscal policy, classical range, at classical range, it will not affect any income level, but in intermediate range, it will affect, but not too much. But in Keynesian range, fiscal policy, expansionary fiscal policy give full effect, and there will be no crowding out situation. And because in Keynesian range, we can see that income level is increasing by their full capacity. That's why fiscal policy is more effective in Keynesian range and no effective in classical range and less effective in intermediate range. So this is the effect of expansionary fiscal policy on different ranges. Next is, if IS curve remains constant, only monetary policy is changing, and if RBI is following expansionary monetary policy, then only LM curve will shift, IS curve will not shift. First of all, we will take three ranges, same as Keynesian range, horizontal line, in between of classical range and Keynesian range, that is called intermediate range, and last vertical range is called classical range. In each range, we have drawn IS curve. One is IS1 in Keynesian range. Second IS curve is drawn on intermediate range, and third IS curve we can draw in classical range. Here LM curve is in shifting from LM1 to LM2 curve. Now here see the effect of expansionary monetary policy, in which range expansionary monetary policy will affect more and at which range it will affect less. Now here in Keynesian range, income level is only Y1. There is no change in income due to increase in monetary policy or expansionary monetary policy or shift in LM curve to the right hand side. In intermediate range, income level will increase from Y2 to Y21. It is showing that income is increasing but not by the Moore ratio or multiplier effect. But in classical range, income level is increasing too much, and here we can say that in classical range, monetary policy is much more effective, but in Keynesian range, it will not give any effect. So, monetary policy is effective more in classical range, less in intermediate range, and no effect at Keynesian range. So, monetary policy and fiscal policy can affect, and we can show these effects with the help of these three ranges. One is Keynesian range, other is intermediate range, and last is classical range, which is always vertical or parallel to the y-axis curve. Next is use of fiscal and monetary policy. Fiscal and monetary policy, as we know that both the policies are complementary to each other, not the substitutable policies. We can't use only one policy to stabilize the economy, to achieve the economic goals of the country. We have to follow both these policies simultaneously, and these policies together can solve all the problems of the economy. One policy is not the substitute of another policy. Both are complementary to each other. It means both policies always go together, always used together to achieve economic goals like price stability, foreign exchange rate stability, economic stability, growth with stability, inequalities of reduction in inequalities of income and wealth, full employment. All these goals can be achieved with the help of these two policies. So, fiscal and monetary policies both are very important, and both we can use simultaneously or together by for the achievement of economic goals. In this diagram, three stages we have taken. First is Keynesian range, after that intermediate range, and at last classical range. First LM curve is initial LM curve, and another LM2 curve is shift in LM curve due to expansionary monetary policy, and IS1 IS2 curve is showing expansionary fiscal policy effect. In Keynesian range, fiscal policy is more effective, but in classical range, monetary policy is more effective. How we can say that these two policies are more effective or less effective? We can show when income level increases more, it means that policy is more effective. If income is not increases, that policy is not effective. If income increases but not by the more proportional, then it will be less effective. So IS curve, when IS curve shifts, it will increase the level of income in Keynesian range. So fiscal policy is more effective in Keynesian range. You must have to remember it. And monetary policy is more effective in classical range. But in intermediate range, both the policies are moderate. Lower, and liquidity trap situation is that situation which shows that income is increase or decrease, but level of rate of interest can't increase. So Keynesian range as observed by Keynes. Next is summary of this chapter. Now ISLM curve, which is very important topic of this 134 principles of macroeconomics paper. This ISLM curve shows goods market equilibrium and money market equilibrium, and this theory of ISLM curve was introduced by Hicks and J. M. Keynes. This is the modern theory of determination of rate of interest. Classical theory was introduced by classical economics, which, which is also determine the rate of interest but with the help of loanable fund demand and loanable fund supply. But this modern theory explain how rate of interest is determined through the analysis of IS and LM curve. IS curve always slope downward and LM curve slope always upward. IS shows different combinations of rate of interest and the level of income, and IS curve shows inverse relationship between rate of interest and the level of income. That's why this curve is always downward sloping curve. And LM curve always shows positive and direct relationship between rate of interest and the level of income. That's why rate of interest is determined and the level of income will also determine. And this equilibrium can also shifts due to change in IS curve and due to change in LM curve. We can also derive aggregate demand curve with the help of ISLM curve analysis. And this ISLM curve can also show crowding out effect situation. So if expansionary fiscal policy will occur, ISLM curve can shift and it can also affect the shift in aggregate demand also. So this chapter is very important. You must have to remember it. Then how IS and LM curve can derive aggregate demand curve, how these curves can determine. Okay, thank you.